So comes after is very nice. Yeah. Because it's somewhere in the last thing.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
నిన్న అన్ని ముందే రెడీ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకోరా నువ్వు మళ్ళా ఎందుకు మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళందరూ వెయిట్ చేపిస్తా ఉంటావు అందరు
నిన్న రుద్రగీతలో పెట్టింది విత్ ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ లేదు, అంటే లైక్ సినోనిమ్స్ లేదు.
అది ఇంటెన్షనల్ పెట్టినాం, అన్ని ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసినాం మనం. ఓకే, వి హావ్ ఆయనకు తెలియదు 45 ఆయన మళ్ళీ చేయించిండు కానీ ఇట్స్ ఓకే, దట్ డజంట్ మ్యాటర్. బట్ ఆల్రెడీ అవన్నీ అయిపోయినాయి. ఒకసారి అన్ని ఉట్టి శ్లోకాలు చేద్దాం అని చెప్పి ఈ వారం అని చెప్పి ఆయన మెసేజ్ అయితే ఎవరు సరిగా చూడలేమునా. నేను ఆల్రెడీ గ్రూప్ లో పెట్టినా కదా, అది షేర్ చేసినాక వెంటనే దిస్ వీక్ వీల్ జస్ట్.
నేను అప్పుడు హన్సినప్పుడు అబ్సెంట్ అయినా కదా, అది నేను రుద్రగీత ప్రెసెంట్ కాదు.
శ్లోకాలు నేర్చుకుంటే ఉట్టిగా ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చదువుకొని అర్థం చేసుకోలేవా? ఇదేముంది.
అప్పుడు నేను హన్సినప్పుడు నేను రుద్రగీత వినలేదు, సో ఎక్కడి వరకైనా నాకు తెలియదు. నిన్ను అడిగితే ఎవరు చెప్పలేదు. ఆ ప్రభుజీ ఏమన్నారంటే 45, 46 చేయాలి మాతాజీ అంటే 45 పెట్టిన అంతే.
ఆల్రెడీ చేసినాము, ఉట్టి శ్లోకాలు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దాం ఈ వారం అని చెప్పి పెట్టిన. ఇట్స్ ఓకేలే, ఐ లెట్ హిమ్ నో. ఇంకోటి మీరు
మీరు ఎక్కడి
ఆగండి,
వరకు
అంతవరకే. ఆ పీడిఎఫ్ పంపిందే అంతవరకు, 46 వరకు ఎంత ఉన్నాయి కదా, దట్స్ ఇట్. అది దానికి ఇంకా మళ్ళీ ఏం లేదు, అంతవరకు ఆపినాం. ఎందుకంటే నాకు భక్తి వైభవ ఎగ్జామ్ అని, వీళ్ళది భక్తి శాస్త్రి ఎగ్జామ్ అని అవి పెట్టుకుని ఉన్నాం కదా. దట్స్ వాట్ ఐమ్ టెలింగ్. ఇట్స్ ఓకే, అది జస్ట్ డిసైడ్ చేసుకోండి, అంత అయిపోతుంది. అదేంటిది,
సరే.
ఎందుకంటే మళ్ళీ సీక్వెన్స్ గా మళ్ళా ఒక రిధం వస్తుంది, అది ఇంకా కొత్తగా నేర్చుకోవడానికి అని పెట్టిన.
సో
అది
ఇప్పుడు
ఇంకోటి,
ఏంటి
ఇప్పుడు
వరకు ప్రాక్టీస్ కొత్త వద్దు అంటావు అంతేనా?
అవి ఉట్టి శ్లోకాలు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయాలి అంతే. ఓకే, ఆ సంస్కృత వర్డ్స్ రిసైడ్ చేస్తే చాలు, దానికి
ఓకే
మీనింగ్
గాట్.
మనం పర్సనల్ గా చదువుకోవాలి అంతే. సో అట్స్ ఓకే. ఇంకోటి ఏంటంటే, ఎందుకంటే దెర్ ఆర్ 45 47 ఉన్నాయి వర్సెస్ మొత్తం అవి. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ లాంగ్ టైమ్ టు కంప్లీట్. అందుకే అక్కడక్కడ వేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళిపోవాలి. ఒకసారి చదివితే రావు కానీ, బట్ ఒకసారి వేసినట్టు ఉండాలి కదా. అందుకే లెటస్ లెటస్ స్విఫ్ట్ ఇన్ టు క్విక్ మోడ్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటి అంటే, నిన్న అన్ని ఇప్పుడే ముందే ల్యాప్టాప్లు అన్ని ఓపెన్ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకోండి. టైం అంతా గ్యాప్ ఇవ్వకండి మధ్య మధ్యలో. నేను వినుకుంటాను, నేను నేను లెట్ మీ కంటిన్యూ అని హియరింగ్ మోడ్ అని రికార్డింగ్ అయింది యూట్యూబ్ లో వింటుంటే ఎన్నో గ్యాప్లు వచ్చినాయి మధ్యలో. వై గ్యాప్స్? ముందే అన్ని ఓపెన్ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకోవచ్చు కదా ల్యాప్టాప్ లో. అన్ని
నేను
ఒక నిమిషం, జస్ట్ సింపుల్ నవ్ ఓన్లీ. బిఫోర్ ఐ స్టార్ట్ అండ్ బిఫోర్ ఐ విల్ గివ్ ఇట్ టు యూ. అన్ని ఓపెన్ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకో రైట్ అవే. ఆ పీడిఎఫ్ ఓపెన్ చేసి పెట్టుకో. ఇప్పుడు ఎక్కడ చదువుతున్నావో కన్సిస్టెంట్ గా ఫాలో అవుతూ లాస్ట్ వెంటనే సెర్చ్ చేసుకో, కంట్రోల్ ఎఫ్ కొట్టి ఆ పర్టికులర్ సెంటెన్స్ సెర్చ్ చేసుకొని క్విక్లీ జంప్ ఇన్. ఓకే, అన్నెసరిగా సైలెంట్ అయిపోయి పాజ్ ఇచ్చి మొబైల్ చూసుకోండి వర్సెస్ అని ఇదంతా ఎందుకు. బెటర్ టు బి ప్రిపేర్డ్ వెల్, రైట్. అది ఇప్పుడే చేసుకోవాలి. మీతో నీ టర్న్ వచ్చి నీ హోస్ట్ వచ్చే వరకు డూ ఇట్.
ఇప్పుడు
అన్సిరియర్లీ
నేను
దాంట్లో
చెప్పనా ఇప్పుడు నేను చెప్పనా నాకు చెప్పలేదు ఎవరు. అయితే నేను ఏమనుకున్నా, అరే ప్రాక్టీస్ చేద్దామేమో అంటే ప్రభుజీ అన్నారు 45 46 చేయలే మాతాజీ అన్నారు. అందులో చూస్తే వర్డ్ మీనింగ్ లేదు.
ఇంకా ఆగి డబుల్ సార్లు డిస్కస్ చేసుకున్నాం. లెట్ అస్ స్టాప్, అయిపోయింది అది. నేను చెప్తాను, అంత అవసరం లేదు, అయిపోయింది అది. నేను చెప్పే పాయింట్, సేవ్ టైం, క్విక్లీ జంప్ ఇన్ అండ్ స్టార్ట్ రీడింగ్, అది అట్లా అట్లా చేసేయి. ఓకే, అది ముందు ఓపెన్ చేసుకో ల్యాప్టాప్ లో అవన్నీ. ఆ ల్యాప్టాప్ లో పీడిఎఫ్ ప్లస్ నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటి, ఇది పౌప లీలామృత నీకు ఎప్పుడు ఇస్తానో అప్పటి వరకు వెంటనే ఆ పర్టికులర్ గా సెంటెన్స్ నువ్వు కంట్రోల్ ఎఫ్ కొడితే అది ఆటోమేటిక్ గా వేదా బేస్ లో సెర్చ్ చేసి ఇస్తుంది. అది కంట్రోల్ ఎఫ్ కొట్టితే నీకు మళ్ళీ స్క్రోల్ డౌన్ చేసి అంత అవసరమే ఉండదు. యూస్ టెక్నాలజీ ఎనీవే. ఇది వేయిందా, సౌండ్ వస్తుంది అదంతా. సౌండ్
ఏంటి
ఏంటిది ఇది, అటు ఇటు ఏదో సౌండ్
సౌండ్
వస్తుంది.
పని చేసుకోవద్దా అండి? అన్ని వదిలిపెట్టుకొని కూర్చోవాలా ఇప్పటి నుండే? మీరు
మాట్లాడదు,
చెప్పండి.
మెల్లగా మెల్లగా
మరి ఎట్లా
మెల్లగా మాట్లాడు.
మాట్లాడుతున్నారు తెలుసా? ఖాళీగా ఉన్నావు నువ్వు అన్నట్టు మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
నీకు
పని
ఇంట్రెస్ట్
చేసుకో.
లేకపోతే నీకు ఇంట్రెస్ట్ లేకపోతే చేయకమ్మా. ఓకే, ఓకే.
అట్లనే కాదు, మీరు ఎట్లా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు తెలుసా? మీరు ఎట్లా మాట్లాడుతున్నారు తెలుసా? అన్ని వదిలేసుకొని కూర్చో అంటున్నారు.
అన్ని అదిలే నీ అర్థము పిచ్చి అర్థము, ఇది రికార్డ్ అవుతుంది ఆడ. ఓకే, అన్ని వదిలేసుకొని కూర్చున్నావు అని
రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నావు
ఏం
అసలు నువ్వు.
మాట్లాడుతున్నావు. ఇది ఏందనుకుంటున్నావు, ఇది యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్ ఉంటది, ఇదంతా రికార్డింగ్ అంతా 3 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి.
మరి ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకు రికార్డ్ చేస్తున్నావు ఇప్పటి నుండే? మీరు చెప్పండి.
మీరు మూసుకోండి ఫస్ట్, కాల్ మీ ఆన్ మై ఫోన్.
చెప్పండి.
అన్సిని జాయిన్ కాలేదా? హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ. ధన్యవాద ప్రణాం ప్రభు. మీరు ఏంటి మరి, మీరు ఆఫీస్కి వెళ్తారా 8:30కి?
9కి వెళ్తా ప్రభుజీ.
ఓకే,
9:50కి వెళ్తాను.
చేస్తారా మీరు? ఇలా హోస్ట్ చేస్తారా?
చేస్తాం అట్లా. మాతో వీలు కదా, చేస్తాను రోజు.
అటు ఇటు బిజీ ఉన్నది. ఓకే,
చేస్తాను రోజు.
8:30కి ఇస్తాను. ఓకే, 8:30కి.
ఓకే ఓకే
8:30 నుంచి 9:10 వరకు వేసుకోండి. ఇట్స్ ఓకే, యూ డోంట్ నీడ్ టు డ్రాగ్. ఓకే, 9:10కి హార్డ్ స్టాప్ అని చెప్పి డ్రాగ్ ఆఫ్ అయిపోయింది, ఎండ్ చేయండి మీటింగ్. ఓకే,
అదే ఇప్పుడు మీరు ప్రొసీజర్ అంటే ఇప్పుడు 8కి స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే షార్ప్గా 8కి స్టార్ట్ చేసి నిన్న సరిపోతుంది టైం ప్రభుజీ మనకి. షార్ప్ 8 స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే
సరే అట్లే చేద్దాము. అయితే నేను ఏమంటున్నా అంటే ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు ఈ 9:10కి క్లోజ్ చేయండి కాల్. ఓకే, మీరు వెళ్ళిపోండి.
ఓకే ఓకే ఓకే
ఇట్స్ ఓకే. నేను ఇప్పుడు స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాను, అయిపోతాను. హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభు. వెల్కమ్ ప్రభు. ధన్యవాదాలు. హలో శిశుల ప్రభుపాన్ గురు మహారాజ్. ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం నమో భగవతే వాసుదేవాయ. ఓం అజ్ఞానతిమిరాంధస్య జ్ఞానాంజనశలాకయ చక్షురున్మిలితం యేన తస్మై శ్రీ గురవే నమః. నమః ఓం విష్ణుపాదాయ కృష్ణపృష్ఠాయ భూతలే శ్రీమతే భక్తివేదాంత స్వామినితి నామినే. నమస్తే సరస్వతి దేవే గౌరవాణి ప్రచారిణి నిర్విశేష శూన్యవాది పాశ్చాత్య దేశతారిణి. జయ శ్రీకృష్ణ చైతన్య ప్రభు నిత్యానంద శ్రీ అద్వైత గదాధర శ్రీవాసాది గౌర భక్త బృంద. హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే హరే. హరే రామ 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 హరే హరే. మూకం కరోతి వాచాలం పంగం లంఘయతే గిరిం యత్కృపాతమహం వందే శ్రీగోవిందనాథారిణి పరమానంద మాధవం శ్రీ చైతన్య మిశ్రం. ఓం అపవిత్ర పవిత్రో సర్వావసంగతో యస్మరేత్ పుండరీకాక్షం సావాహ్యాభ్యంతరం శుచి. శ్రీ విష్ణు శ్రీ విష్ణు శ్రీ విష్ణు. ఓం తద్విష్ణు పరమం పదం దివ్యవాచక్షురాతతం జాగృహం సవిందతే విష్ణు యత్ పరమం పదం. హరే కృష్ణ. We'll continue from this paragraph. We are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, chapter 19, entitled as Planting the Seed. Planting the Seed. Okay, we'll continue from this para. Bruce was a newcomer and had only been to 1 week of meetings at the storefront. Is audible correct, na? My voice is clear, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you. So no one had told him that the members of Anand Ashram, Dr. Mishra's yoga retreat, had invited Swamiji and his followers for a day in the upstate countryside. Bruce had just arrived at the storefront one morning when he heard someone announce, "The Swami is leaving. and Prabhupada came out of the building and stepped into a car. In a fit of anxiety, Bruce thought that the Swami was leaving them for good, for India. No, Howard told him, "We are going, we are going to a yoga ashrama in the country." But the other car had already left, and there was no room in Swamiji's car. Just then, Steve showed up. He had expected the boys to come by his apartment to pick him up. They both had missed the ride. Bruce phoned a friend up in the Bronx and convinced him to drive them up to Anand Ashram. But when they got to Bruce's friend's apartment, the friend had decided he didn't want to go. Finally, he lent Bruce his car, and Swamiji's two new followers set out for Anand Ashram. By the time they arrived, Prabhupada and his group were already taking prasadam. Sitting around a picnic table beneath the trees, Anand Ashram was a beautiful place with sloping hills and lots of trees, and sky and green grass and a lake. The two latecomers came walking up to Swamiji, who was seated like the father of a family. At the head of the picnic table, Keith was serving from a big wok onto the individual plates. When Prabhupada saw his two stragglers, he asked them to sit next to him, and Keith served them. Prabhupada took Steve's chapati and heaped it up, heaped it up with a mound of sugar. And Steve munched on the bread and sugar while everyone laughed. Haribol will continue. Rajaprabhu, please start.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada began talking somehow about lion tamers, and he recalled that once at a fair he had seen a man wrestling with tiger, rolling over and over with it down in a hill. The boys, who rarely heard Swamiji speak anything but philosophy, were surprised. They were delighted. City kids taken to the country by their guru and having a good time. Steve, I was walking with Swamiji across a long, gentle slope. I wanted him to see and approve a picture of Radha and Krishna I had found in a small book, Narada Bhakti Sutra. I had planned to get a color reproduction of it gave to each of his followers. So as we are walking across the grass, I showed him the picture and asked him whether it was a nice picture of Radha and Krishna for reproducing. He looked at the picture, smiled, and nodded and said yes. Can I continue? Prabhuji?
Continue, Prabhu. Continue.
Bruce, I walked with Swamiji around the grounds. All others were doing something else, and Swamiji and myself were walking alone. He was talking about building a temple there. Prabhupada walked across the scenic acreage, looking at the distant mountains and forest. And Keith walked beside him. Prabhupada spoke of how Dr. Mishra had offered him the island in the middle of the ashrama's lake to build a temple on. What kind of temple? What kind of temple were you thinking of? Keith said. How big? Prabhupada smiled and gestured across the horizon. As big as the old horizon. Keith laughed. Yes, Prabhupada replied. A few Ananda Ashram women came by. One woman was wearing a sari. Prabhupada turned to the other woman and said, "The woman who wears a sari looks very feminine."
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Lalit Mohan Prabhu. Haribol Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. It was late afternoon when some of Swamiji's followers gathered by the lake and began talking candidly about Swamiji and speculating about his relation to God and their relation to him. Well, said Valley, Swami never claimed to be God or an incarnation, but he says that he is servant of God, teaching love of God. But he says that a spiritual master is not different from God. Said Howard. They stood at the edge of the mirrory calm lake and concluded that it was not necessary to talk about this. The answers would be revealed later. None of them really had much spiritual knowledge, but they wanted their faith to deepen.
Continue.
Okay. Afterward, Keith, Valley, Howard wandered into the meditation room. There was a seat with a picture of Dr. Mishra, who was away in Europe. But the most remarkable thing was blinking strobe light. I feel like I am in a head shop on St. Mark's Place. Said Valley, what kind of spiritual meditation is this? Howard asked. A Mishra follower wearing a white kurta and a white bell bottoms replied that their guru had said they could sit and meditate on this light. Swamiji says you should meditate on Krishna, said Keith.
Continue. One more.
Light.
Continue, Prabhu. One more.
Acha, okay, Prabhu. After sunset, everyone gathered in the large room of the main building to watch a slideshow. It was a loose collection, mostly of assorted slides of India and the Ananda Ashram. A record by a popular Indian sitarist was playing in the background. Some of the slides were of Vishnu temples, and when one slide passed by quickly, Prabhupada asked, "Let me see that. Can you go back and let me see that temple again?" This happened several times when he recognized familiar temples in India. Later in the show, there were several slides of a girl, one of the members of Dr. Mishra's ashrama demonstrating Indian dance poses. As one of her pictures passed, an ashrama man joked, "Turn back and let me see the temple again." The joke seemed at Swamiji's expense and in poor taste. His followers didn't laugh. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sapan, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Then came Swamiji's lecture. He sat up cross-legged on the couch in the largest room in the mansion. The room was filled with people. The Swami's followers from the lower east side, as well as the Anand Ashram yogis, sitting on the floor or standing along the walls and in the doorway. He began his talk by criticizing democracy. He said that because people are attached to sense gratification, they vote for a leader who will fulfill their own lust and greed, and that is their only criteria for picking up a leader. He went on for 45 minutes to explain about the importance of Krishna consciousness, his reel-to-reel tape recorder moving silently. Then he led a kirtana that bridged all differences and brought out the best in everyone that night. Several nights before, in his apartment on 2nd Avenue, Prabhupada had taught his followers how to dance. They had formed a line behind him while he demonstrated the simple step. Holding his arms above his head, he would first swing his left foot forward across the right foot and then bring it back again in a sweeping motion. Then he would swing his right foot over the left and bring it back again. With his arms upraised, Prabhupada would walk forward, swinging his body from side to side, left foot to right side, and right foot to left side, in the time with 1, 2, 3 rhythm. He had shown them the step in regular time and in a slow half-time rhythm. Keith had called it the Swami step, as if it were a new ballroom dance. Prabhupada's followers began dancing, and as soon as others joined them, moving around the room in a rhythmic circle of ecstasy, dancing, swaying, sometimes leaping and whirling, it was a joyous long-hour kirtana, the Swami encouraging everyone to the fullest extent. A visitor to the ashrama happened to have his string bass with him, and he began expertly turning out his own swinging bass improvements beneath the Swami's melody, while another man played the tablas. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Improvisation, very well. So from there only started giving a taste of dancing also in the kirtana, encouraging them to dance nicely. fully showing our joy and happiness. Haribol. Sirisha Mata, I'm seeing you. You are able to read. Rashmi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
రాజు డ్రాప్ అయిపోయాడా? అదే సపరేట్ గా ఈ కనెక్షన్ లో ఇష్యూ ఉంది ప్రభు.
వైఫై
ఈ కనెక్షన్ లో సంవాడ్ ఇష్యూ ఉంది. ఓకే యా ఇట్స్ ఓకే చదవండి. యా శిరీష మాతయ్యనా రశ్మి మాతయ్యనా ప్లీజ్ రీడ్.
Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji, can I read?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Ananda ashram members had been divided off late into two tents, standoffish groups. There was the elderly crowd, similar to the old ladies who had attended the Swami's uptown lecture, and there was the young crowd, mostly hip couples. But in the Kirtana, their rifts were forgotten and, as they discovered later, even healed. Whether they liked it or not, almost all of those present were introduced to rise and dance. Then it was late. The Swami took rest in the guest room and his boys slept outside in their sleeping bag. Howard, I awakened 3 or 4 times, and each time I am flat on my back looking up at the stars, which are always in different positions. My senses of time is confused. The sidereal shifts dizzy me. Then, just before morning, I dream of devotees clustered about a beautiful golden youth. To see him is to be captivated. His transcendental body radiates an absolute beauty unseen in the world. Stunned, I inquire, who is he? Don't you know? Someone says, that's the Swami. I look carefully, but see no resemblance. The youth appear around 18, straight out of Vaikuntha, the spiritual world. If that's Swamiji, I wonder to myself, why doesn't he come to earth like that? A voice somewhere inside me answered, people would follow me for my beauty, not for my teachings. And I awake, startled. The dream is clear in my mind, more like a vision than a dream. I feel strangely refreshed, bathed in some unknown balm. Again, I see that the constellations have shifted and that the dimmer star have faded into the encroaching dawn. I remember Swamiji telling me that although most dreams are simply function of the mind, dreams of the spiritual master are the spiritual significance. Keith also had a dream that night.
Okay, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Sirisha Mataji, please continue.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Meet. I saw Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Arjuna was inquiring from Krishna, and Krishna was reciting the Bhagavad Gita to him. Then that picture phased out, and the images changed, and there was Swamiji, and I was kneeling in front of him, and the same dialogue was going on. I had the understanding that now is the time, and Swamiji is presenting the same thing as Krishna, and we are all in the position of Arjuna. The dream made it very clear that hearing from Swamiji was as good as hearing from Krishna.
Continue.
The sun rose over the mountains, streaking the morning sky above the lake with colors. Valley and Knee were walking around the grounds, saying to Prabhupada how beautiful it all was. We are not so concerned with the beautiful
Haribol. Are you able to hear me?
You are audible, Prabhuji, but Mataji is not audible.
That's why I'm wondering, Prabhu. 1 second. హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభు, రాజు ప్రభు. ఆ ఇంటర్నెట్ ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి ప్రభుజీ.
యా
మేబీ.
పవర్ ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది ప్రభుజీ, మళ్ళీ డిస్కనెక్ట్ అయింది.
ఓకే, కంటిన్యూ.
Like,
యా,
okay.
కంటిన్యూ.
Okay, ప్రభుజీ. Later, Prabhupada sat next to Bruce in the Volkswagen.
ఈ మధ్యలో ఇది మళ్ళీ చదవండి.
మాతాజీ వీఆర్ నాట్ సో కన్సర్న్ అనమాట. ఆపరు అక్కడ ఆగిపోయింది మీ వాయిస్.
మళ్ళీ చదవండి. ఇట్స్ ఓకే. మళ్ళీ హైలైట్ సన్ అని చెప్పండి.
The sun rose over the mountains, streaking the morning sky above the lake with colors. Valley and Sneak were walking around the grounds, saying to Prabhupada how beautiful it was. We are not so concerned with beautiful scenery, said Prabhupada. We are concerned with the beautiful one who has made the beautiful scenery. Later, Prabhupada sat next to Bruce in the Volkswagen, returning into the city. The car went winding around on a ribbon of smooth black mountain road, with lush green forest close in and intermittent vistas of mountains and expansive sky. It was a rare occasion for Bruce to be driving Prabhupada in a car, because none of the Swamis boys had cars. They would always travel by bus or subway. It seemed fitting for the Swami to have a car to ride in. But this was only a little Volkswagen, and Bruce
Volkswagen, అదే కారు కంపెనీ. మళ్ళీ ఇంటర్నెట్ ఇష్యూ. హరి బోల్, హరి బోల్. ఓకే. హరే కృష్ణ. వాణి మాత. హరే
and Bruce winced. It just led Prabhupada. అవునా ప్రభుజీ? ప్రభుజీ వినిపిస్తుందా?
మధ్యన మళ్ళా ఏమో అవుతుంది మాత, అది పీపుల్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, ఇట్స్ ఓకే. రీజాయిన్. ఈ కంటిన్యూ మాతది. మన వాణి మాతది, దీప మాతది. ప్లీజ్ కంటిన్యూ.
హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ, దండవత్ ప్రణామం ప్రభుజీ.
యా, దండవత్ ప్రణామం మాతది. ప్లీజ్ కంటిన్యూ.
Okay. Later, Prabhupada sat next to Bruce in the Volkswagen, returning to the city. The car went winding around on a ribbon of smooth black mountain road with lush green forest close in and intermittent vistas of mountains and expansive sky. It was a rare occasion for Bruce to be driving Prabhupada in a car, because none of the Swami's boys had cars. They would always travel by bus or subway. It seemed fitting for the Swami to have a car to ride in. But this was only a little Volkswagen, and Bruce winced whenever they hit a bump, and it jostled Prabhupada. As they wound their way on through the mountains, Bruce recalled something he had read in the book by Aldous Huxley's wife about the best places for meditation. One option had been the best place to meditate was by a large body of water because of the negative ions in the air, and the other opinion was that it was better to meditate in the mountains because you are higher up and closer to God. Is it better for spiritual realization to meditate in the mountains? Bruce asked. Prabhupada replied, this is nonsense. There is no question of better place. Are you thinking that God is up on some planet or something and you have to go up high? No. You can meditate anywhere. Just chant Hare Krishna. After some time, the drive became tiring for Prabhupada and he dozed, his head resting forward. Bruce walked with Swamiji up to his apartment, opening the door for him, adjusting the window as he liked it, and preparing things in his room, as if he were Swami's personal servant. Prabhupada settled back into his second venue apartment. Feeling pleased with the visit to Anand Ashram. The Kirtana had successful, and one of Dr. Mishra's foremost servants had commented that he was impressed by Prabhupada's followers. Simply by chanting, they seemed to be achieving an advanced level of yoga discipline, whereas we have more difficulty with all our postures and breath control.
Thank you, Mata. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Kirtan bliss. Actually, Kirtan bliss. Somewhere I have seen Kirtan bliss. Yes. Thank you, Mata. Yeah. Deepa Mata, please continue.
Yes, Prabhuji.
The United States' recently increased involvement in Vietnam was creating an increase of opposition to the war. On July 29, American planes had bombed North Vietnam's two major population centers, Hanoi and Haiphong, an escalation which brought expressions of regret from several allied countries, including Canada, France, and Japan. United Nations Secretary General U Thant openly criticized America's policy in Vietnam. Further opposition to the war ranged from the US Senate down to newly formed pacifist groups, and dissenters held peace marches, sit-ins, and rallies in protest of the war and draft. Religious protest was led by Pope Paul VI, and the World Council of Churches decried America's involvement in Vietnam and called for a halt in the fighting as the most effective step towards negotiation. On August 6, the anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima, there were demonstrations in many major American cities, including a peace vigil at the United Nations headquarters in New York. On August 31, there would be another 2-week-long peace vigil before the United Nations General Assembly building, and Mr. Larry Bogart had invited Prabhupada and his followers to open the vigil of praying for peace. Larry Bogart, who worked as the United Nations headquarters, had become friends with the Swami and had volunteered his help by arranging to print stationery for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The letterhead was designed by James Green with a sketch of Radha and Krishna, and Mr. Bogart's name also appeared on the stationery at the head of the list of ISKCON trustees. Prabhupada accepted Mr. Bogart's invitation to the peace vigil. Prabhupada saw it as an opportunity to publicly chant Hare Krishna, so he was glad to attend. He announced to his congregation that Monday, the 31st, instead of the usual morning class at 6:30, everyone should meet at the United Nations headquarters for a special kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Again, please let me read some paragraphs and over to Raju Prabhu. He will maintain. August 31, some met at the storefront and went by bus, carrying kartalas, a tambourine, and the Swami's bango. Swamiji rode with a few of his followers in a taxi. The typical dress of his followers consisted of a well-worn sneakers, black pants, blue jeans, and t-shirts or button-down sport shirts. Traveling uptown in the early morning put the boys in a light-hearted spirit, and when they saw Swamiji at the UN in his flowing saffron robes, they became inspired. Swamiji began the chanting, but right away the peace vigil organizers stepped in and asked him to stop. This was a silent vigil, they said, and it should have prayerful, non-violent silence. The boys were crushed, but Swamiji accepted the restriction and began silently chanting on his beads. A dignitary stood up before the assembly and made a short speech in which he mentioned Gandhi, and then he turned to Prabhupada and indicated that he could now speak about peace. Standing erectly, the UN skyscraper looming behind him, Swamiji spoke in a soft voice. The world must accept that God is the proprietor of everything and the friend of everyone. He said, only then can we have real peace. Mr. Bogart had scheduled the Swami for 2 hours of silent prayer. Prabhupada had the devotees sit together and softly chant japa until their 2 scheduled hours were up. Then they left. As Prabhupada rode back down in the heavy morning traffic, he said New York reminded him of Calcutta. Amid the start and stop motion and noise of the traffic, he explained, we have nothing to do with peace vigils. We simply want to spread this chanting of Hare Krishna. That's all. If people take to this chanting, peace will automatically come. Then they won't have to artificially try for peace. Hare Krishna. Actually, I'm gonna drop off devotees. And one thing I just want to say. Yesterday I followed the recording. లలిత్ మోహన్ ప్రభుజీ అదేంటంటే రుద్రగీత ఓన్లీ శ్లోకాలు పెట్టడానికి రీజన్ ఏంటంటే ఆల్రెడీ అంటిల్ దట్ 46 వర్స్ వీ హెవ్ డన్. ఓకే, అవన్నీ అయిపోయినాయి. వీ జస్ట్ హ్యావ్ టు గో త్రూ విత్ ద జస్ట్ సాంస్క్రిట్ రిసైటేషన్ చేద్దామని చెప్పి పంపించాను ప్రభు. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద థింగ్.
45, 46 అవ్వలేదు ప్రభు.
నో అయింది ఆల్రెడీ ఎంతమంది అయిపోయింది. I still remember it's done. But anyway, చేసినారు కదా.
చేసినప్పుడు నాకు నేర్చుకున్నట్టుగా అనిపించింది.
ఆల్రెడీ అయిపోయింది అది. ఉన్నది మనకు. అందుకే నేను అది కావాలని అది చూపిస్తాను ఉండండి. ఆ బుక్ మార్క్ అప్పుడు పెట్టుకున్నాను. ఏంటది, లెట్ మీ షేర్ డైరెక్ట్ దట్ ఫైల్ కానీ ఉంది కదా. సో రుద్రగీత స్లైడ్స్ అని ఉంది కదా. సో ఇక్కడ వి స్టాప్ అంటిల్ దిస్ పాయింట్, ఇంతవరకు అయిపోయాక we have gone through that Bhakti Vaibhava slokas. We'll take break until this verse అని పెట్టాను కదా. ఇవన్నీ అయిపోయినాయి. ఓకే, 45, 46 డన్. జస్ట్ శ్లోకాలు ఈ వారం రిసైడ్ చేద్దామని చెప్పి అది పీడిఎఫ్ లో.
ఓకే ప్రభు.
శ్లోకాలు చేసుకుందాం. 3-4 రోజులు అయిపోతుంది. మళ్ళీ ఎందుకంటే మళ్ళీ కొన్ని నేర్చుకుందాం. ఎందుకంటే 40+ వర్సెస్ ఉన్నాయి రుద్రగీత. ఒక్కసారైనా కంప్లీట్ చేద్దాం, కొంచెం ఫిక్స్ ఫినిష్ చేద్దాం.
ఇంకా అంటే యాక్చువల్లీ ఇక ఈ శ్లోకా నుంచి ప్రభు మొత్తం అన్ని ఇంకా డిస్క్రిప్షన్సే. భగవంతుడు డిస్క్రిప్షన్ ఇప్పుడు చూడండి, రుద్రుడు ఎట్లా డిస్క్రైబ్ చేస్తాడు అంటే నెక్స్ట్ వచ్చే 6, 7 మొత్తం 18 శ్లోకాస్ ఎన్నో మొత్తం అన్ని ఇంకా డిస్క్రిప్షన్, భగవంతుడు డిస్క్రిప్షన్ ఇంకా అదంతా కూడా.
ఓకే
ఆయన బాడీలో ఫీచర్ డిస్క్రిప్షన్స్ అన్నమాట అన్ని. ఓకే ప్రభు, విల్ డు ఇట్.
జస్ట్ శ్లోకాల వరకే. దట్టు ప్రభు కూడా, రాజు ప్రభు ఇచ్చాను హోస్ట్ యాక్సెస్. 9-10 కు he has to go to office ప్రభు. సో let us close 9-10.
I'll be very mindful ప్రభు. Thank you
so much devotees. వాంఛాకల్పతరుభ్యశ్చ కృపా సింధుభైవచ పతితానాం పావనేభ్యో వైష్ణవేభ్యో నమః. అనంతకోటి వైష్ణవ की जय. శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద లీలామృతం की जय. జగద్గురు శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద की जय. థ్యాంక్ యూ రాజు ప్రభు, ప్లీజ్ కంటిన్యూ. పీడిఎఫ్ మళ్ళీ ట్యాగ్ చేస్తున్న గ్రూప్ లో, తర్వాత డౌన్లోడ్ చేసి ఓపెన్ చేయండి. ఓకే,
నేను పంపించాను సార్. ఓకే,
మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ఆల్రెడీ పంపించింది ట్యాగ్ చేస్తే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. హరిబో, థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్.
ఎవరు చదివారు ప్రభుజీ? సపన్ ప్రభుజీ. హరే కృష్ణ.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Please read.
Number 1. The New York Post ran a picture of Swamiji's group at United Nations building. Steve bought the clipping into Prabhupada. Swamiji, look, they have referred you here as Sami Krishna. Prabhupada, Sami Krishna, that's all right. In the picture, some of the boys were sitting with their heads resting on their arms. Where are you? Prabhupada asked. Steve pointed. Oh, you chant like this with your head down? Prabhupada had participated in the peace vigil to oblige his contact, Mr. Bogart. Now Mr. Bogart was phoning to offer his appreciation and agreeing to visit the storefront. He wanted to help, and he would discuss how the Swami could work with the UN and how he could solicit help from important people for his movement of Indian culture and peace. Prabhupada regarded Mr. Bogart's imminent visit as very important, and he wanted to cook for him personally and receive him in his apartment with the best hospitality. When the day arrived, Prabhupada and Keith cooked together in the small kitchen for several hours, making the best Indian delicacies. Prabhupada posted Stanley downstairs and told him not to allow anyone to come up while he was cooking the feast for Mr. Bogart. Stanley assented, blinking his eyes with his far-off saintly look. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Lalitman Prabhu, please read.
Yes, Prabhu. Stanley stationed himself downstairs in the storefront. అక్కడి నుంచేనా ప్రభు?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Stanley stationed himself downstairs in the storefront. A few of the boys were there, and he told them, "You can't go up to see the Swami. No one can." About 12 noon, Larry Bogart arrived, pale, elderly, and well-dressed by Lower East Side standards. He said he wanted to see Swami Bhaktivedanta. Sorry, Stanley informed him, his boyish face trying to impress the stranger with the seriousness of the order. The Swami is busy now, and he said no one can see him. Mr. Bogart decided he would wait. There was no chair in the storefront, but Stanley bought him a folding chair. It was a hot day. Mr. Bogart looked at his watch several times. A half hour passed. Stanley sat chanting, and sometimes staring off blankly. After an hour, Mr. Bogart asked if he could see the Swami now. Stanley assured him that he could not, and Mr. Bogart left in a huff. Should I go ahead, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Upstairs, Swamiji had become anxious why Mr. Bogart had not arrived. Finally, he sent Keith downstairs and Stanley told him that about a man who had turned away. What? Keith exploded. But that was. Within moments, Swamiji heard what had happened. He became furious. He came down to the storefront. You fool! You silly fool! He turned and angrily rebuked everyone in the room, but mostly Stanley. No one had ever seen the Swami so angry. Then Swamiji walked away in disgust and returned to his apartment. Very good. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you. Rashmi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad. Stanley had been going off the deep end for some time, and now he became even more abstracted in his behavior. Stanley's mother knew her son had been troubled for years, and she had therefore requested Prabhupada to keep a very close watch on him. But now the boy deteriorated in his responsibilities and stopped cleaning the kitchen and storefront. He would stand alone looking at something. He was gloomy and sometimes spoke of suicide. And he stopped chanting regularly. The boys didn't know what to do, but they thought perhaps he should be sent home to his mother. One day, Stanley went up to see the Swami. He came in and sat down. Prabhupada. Yes, Stanley. May I have $50? Prabhupada. Why? Prabhupada used to handle all the money himself. So when his boy needed something, even if it were only 25 cents for the bus, they had to see Swami. He was never wasteful. He was so frugal that whenever he received a letter, he would carefully tear the envelope apart and use the reverse side as writing paper. So he wanted to know why Stanley wanted $50. Stanley replied in a small voice, I want to purchase some gasoline and set myself on fire. Prabhupada saw Chuck at the doorway and told him to call Bruce at once. Bruce quickly came up and sat with Prabhupada and Stanley. Prabhupada told Bruce, whom he had recently appointed to handle petty cash, to give Stanley $50, and he had Stanley repeat why he wanted the money. But Swamiji, Bruce posted, we don't have that much money. There you see Stanley. Prabhupada spoken very calmly. Bruce says we don't have the money. Then they phoned Stanley's mother. Later, Prabhupada said that because Stanley had asked for $50 for gasoline, which cost only 35 cents, he could therefore understand Stanley's was crazy.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Shirisha, can you read?
Yes. Kate was cooking lunch in the kitchen as usual, but today Swamiji was standing by the kitchen stove. Watching his pupil, Kate paused and looked up from his cooking. Swamiji, could I become your disciple? Yes, Prabhupada replied. Why not? Your name will be Krishna Dasa. This simple exchange was the first request for discipleship and Prabhupada's first granting of initiation. But there was more to it than that. Prabhupada announced that he would soon hold an initiation. What's initiation, Swamiji? One of the boys asked, and Prabhupada replied, I will tell you later. First, they had to have beads. And Nate went to Tandy's leather company and bought half-inch wooden beads and cord to string them on. It was much better, Swamiji said, to count on beads while chanting. A strand of 108 beads to be exact. This employed the sense of touch And like the Vaishnavas of India, one could count how many times one chanted the mantra. Some devotees in India had a string of more than 1,000 beads, he had said, and they would chant through them again and again. He taught the boys how to tie a double knot between each of the 108 beads. The number 108 had a special significance. There were 108 Upanishads as well as 108 principal gopis, the chief devotees of Lord Krishna. Can I continue?
Yeah, this paragraph.
The initiates would be taking vows, he said, and one vow would be to chant a prescribed number of rounds on the beads each day. About a dozen of Swamiji's boys were eligible, but there was no strict system for their selection. If they wanted to, they could do so. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Deepa Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please read.
See, although I was already doing whatever Swamiji recommended, I sensed that initiation was a heavy commitment. And with my last strong impulses to remain completely independent, I hesitated to take initiation. Prabhupada's friends saw the initiation in different ways. Some saw it as very serious, and some took it to be like a party or a happening. While stringing their beads in the courtyard, Wally and Howard talked a few days before the ceremony. Wally, it's just a formality. You accept Swamiji as your spiritual master. Howard, what does that entail? Wally, nobody is very sure. In India, it's a standard practice. Don't you think you want to take him as a spiritual master? Howard, I don't know. He would seem to be a good spiritual master, whatever that is. I mean, I like him and his teachings a lot, so I guess in a way he's already my spiritual master. I just don't understand how it would change the situation. Wally, neither do I. I guess it doesn't. It's just a formality. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, continue, Mataji.
September 8th, Janmashtami Day, the appearance day of Lord Krishna. 1 year before, Prabhupada had observed Krishna's birthday at sea aboard the Jaladuta, just out of Colombo. Now, exactly 1 year later, he had a small crew of Hare Krishna chanters. He would gather them all together, have them observe a day of chanting, reading scripture, fasting, and feasting. And the next day would be initiation. At 6 o'clock, Prabhupada came down and was about to give his morning class as usual when one of the boys asked if he would read from his own manuscript. Prabhupada appeared shy, yet he did not hide his pleasure at having been asked to read his own Bhagavad Gita commentary. Usually he would read a verse from Radhakrishnan's Oxford edition of the Gita. Although the commentary presented impersonalist philosophy, the translations, Prabhupada said, were 90% accurate. But this morning he sent Roy up to fetch the manuscript, and for an hour he read from its typewritten pages. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Vani Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, please read, Mataji. Danatram.
Yes.
Yeah, please read from me.
Ekkada from observing,
Yes, Mataji. Ikkada nunchi.
Okay. For observing Janmashtami, there were special rules. There should be no eating, and the day was to be spent chanting, reading and discussing Krishna consciousness. If anyone became too weak, he said there was fruit in the kitchen. But better that they fast until the feast at midnight, just like the devotees in India. He said that in India, millions of people, Hindus, Muslims, or whatever, observed the birthday of Lord Krishna. And in every temple, there was festivities and celebrations of the pastimes of Krishna. And now, he said at length, I will tell you what it is meant by initiation. Initiation means that the spiritual master accepts the students and agrees to take charge. And the student accepts the spiritual master and agrees to worship him as God. He paused. No one spoke. Any questions? And when there were none, he got up and walked out. The devotees were stunned. What had they just heard him say? For weeks he had stressed that when anyone claims to be God, he should be considered a dog. My mind's just been blown, said Valley. Everybody's mind is blown, said Howard. Swamiji just dropped a bomb. They thought of Keith. He was wise. Consult Keith. But Keith was in the hospital. Talking among themselves, they became more and more confused. Swamiji's remarks had confounded their judgments. Finally, Valley decided to go to the hospital to see Keith. Keith listened to the whole story, how Swamiji had told them to fast and how he had read from his manuscript and how he had said he would explain initiation and how everybody had learned forward all years and Swamiji had dropped a bomb. The student accepts his spiritual master and agrees to worship him as God. Any questions? Swamiji had asked softly. And then he had walked out. I don't know if I want to be initiated now. Valley confessed. We have to worship him as God. Well, you are already doing that by accepting whatever he tells you, Keith replied. And he advised that they talk it over with Swamiji before the initiation. So Valley went back to the temple and consulted. Howard and together they went up to Swamiji's apartment. Does what you told us this morning, Howard asked, mean we are supposed to accept the spiritual master to be God? This means he is due the same respect as God, being God's representative. Prabhupada replied calmly. Then he is not God. No, Prabhupada said, God is God. The spiritual master is his representative. Therefore, he is good as God because he can deliver God to sincere disciple. Is that clear? It was. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, we'll give to someone. Thank you, Mataji.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Madhavi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, Dandavat Pranam. Please read from here, Mataji.
Yeah. It was a mental and physical strain to go all day without eating. Jan was restless. She complained that she couldn't possibly stay any longer, but had to go take care of her cat. Prabhupada tried to overrule her, but she left anyway. Most of the prospective initiates spent several hours that day stringing their shiny red wooden beads. Having tied one end of the string to a window bar or a radiator, they would slide one bead at a time up the string and knot it tightly, chanting one mantra of Hare Krishna for each bead. It was devotional service, chanting and stringing your beads for initiation. Every time they knotted another bead, it seemed like a momentous event. Prabhupada said that devotees in India chanted at least 64 rounds on beads a day. Saying the Hare Krishna mantra once on each of the 108 beads constituted one round. His spiritual master had said that anyone who did not chant 64 rounds a day was fallen. At first, some of the boys thought that they would also have to chant 64 rounds, and they became perplexed. That would take all day. How could you go to a job if you had to chant 64 rounds? How could anyone chant 64 rounds? Then someone said Swamiji had told him that 32 rounds a day would be a sufficient minimum for the West. Valley said he had heard Swamiji say 25, but even that seemed impossible. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. My power went, Mataji.
PowerPoint.
I'm unable to share my laptop shut down.
Yeah. Okay.
Deepa Mataji, is it possible for you, Mataji, to share the screen?
I am on the mobile, Prabhuji. But I have the book. I'm reading from the book. You tell me where it ended. We can read in the meantime.
Yeah, Mataji, please read. I mean, I am also not sure now. Mataji?
Yeah, it's you start from something like 25 rounds beats. Valley said from there you can continue, Vani Mataji. Deepa Mataji.
Yeah. Prabhupada offered the rock bottom minimum, 16 rounds a day without fail. Whoever got initiated would have to promise. Raju Prabhu, you tell me when it is up. Until then, I will read, okay? Anybody else is reading on books?
No, Mataji. I think.
Okay. Yeah. The beat stringing, chanting, reading, and dozing went on until 11 at night when everyone was invited up to Swamiji's room. As they filed through the courtyard, they sensed an unusual calm in the atmosphere, and Houston Street, just over the wall, was quiet. There was no moon. As his followers sat on the floor contentedly, Eating prasadam from paper plates, Swamiji sat among them, telling stories about the birth of Lord Krishna. Krishna had appeared on this evening 5,000 years ago. He was born, the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, in the prison of King Kamsa at midnight, and his father, Vasudeva, immediately took him to Vrindavan, where he was raised as the son of Nanda Maharaj, a cowherdman. Prabhupada also spoke of the necessity of purification for spiritual advancement. It is not enough merely to chant holy words, he said. One must be pure inside and out. Chanting in purity brings spiritual advancement. The living entity becomes impure because he wants to enjoy material pleasure. But the impure can become pure by following Krishna, by doing all works for Krishna. Beginners in Krishna consciousness have a tendency to relax their efforts in a short time. But to advance spiritually, you must resist this temptation and continually increase your efforts and devotion. Should I stop, Prabhuji? Yeah. Michael Grant. I first heard about the initiation just one day before it was to take place. I had been busy with my music and hadn't been attending. I was walking down 2nd Avenue with one of the prospective initiates, and he mentioned to me that there was going to be something called an initiation ceremony. I asked what it was about, and he said, "All I know is it means that you accept the spiritual master as God." This was a big surprise to me, and I hardly knew how to take it. But I didn't take it completely seriously, and the way it was mentioned to me is such an offhand way made it seem not very important. He asked me very casually whether I was going to be involved, and I, also being very casual about it, said, "Well, I think I will. Why not? I will give it a try." Jan didn't think she would make an obedient disciple, and initiation sounded frightening. She liked the Swami, especially cooking with him, but it was Mike who convinced her he was going, so she should come along with him. Carl Jargens knew something about initiation from his readings, and he, more than others, knew what a serious commitment it was. He was surprised to hear that Swamiji was offering initiation, and he was cautious about entering into it. He knew that initiation meant no illicit sex, intoxication, or meat eating, and an initiated disciple would have new responsibilities for spreading the teachings to others. Carl was already feeling less involved since the Swami had moved to 2nd Avenue, but he decided to attend the initiation anyway. Hare Krishna, does anybody want to read on their own phone or laptop, or should I continue? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, maybe nobody is listening, Mataji. Yeah, you can continue, Mataji. After this, we'll stop and we'll go
do
to
the
sloka.
slokas.
Yeah. Just do for 2-3 minutes.
Bill Epstein had never professed to be a serious disciple. Holding initiation was just another part of Swami's scene, and you were free to take it seriously or not. He figured it was all right to take initiation. Even if you weren't serious, he would try it. Prabhuji, I need to attend the door, Prabhuji. Somebody is on the door.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I can read. Carol Baker was surprised. So Bill Epstein, he would try. He figured it was all right to take initiation, even if you weren't serious, he would try it. Carol Baker was surprised to hear that some people would be taking initiation, even though they had no intentions of giving up their bad habits. She had stopped coming around regularly ever since the Swami had moved, and she felt no desire to ask for initiation. The Swami probably wouldn't initiate women anyway, she figured. Robert Nelson hadn't forgotten the Swami, and always liked to help whenever he could. But except for an occasional friendly visit, he had stopped coming. He mostly stayed to himself. He still lived uptown and wasn't into the Lower East Side scene. James Green thought he wasn't pure enough to be initiated. Who am I to be initiated? But the Swami had asked him to bring something over to the storefront. I came and it was just understood that I was supposed to be initiated, so I thought, why not? Stanley had been chanting regularly again and had come out of his crazy mood. He was sticking with the Swami and his followers. He asked his mother if he could be initiated, and she said it would be all right. Steve wanted more time to think about it. Keith was in the hospital. Bruce had only been attending for a week or two, and it was too soon. Chuck was on a week's vacation from the regulated spiritual life at the temple, so he didn't know about the initiation. No one was asked to shave his head or even cut his hair or change his dress. No one offered Prabhupada the traditional Guru Dakshina, the donation a disciple is supposed to offer as a gesture of his great obligation to his master. Hardly anyone even relieved him of his chores. So Swamiji himself had to do most of the cooking and other preparations for the initiation. He was perfectly aware of the mentality of his boys and he didn't try to force anything on anyone. Some of the initiates didn't know until after the initiation when they had inquired that the four rules no meat eating, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling were mandatory for all disciples. Prabhupada's reply then was, I am very glad that you are finally asking me that. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, should we stop and start this one or?
Yeah, it's 8:54, Mataji. He has a
Yeah,
time
Yeah.
till 9:10. So we will stop
So
it
we'll
here,
stop,
Mataji.
Prabhuji.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji.
Mataji, can you please share this? It was to believe live Vedic sacrifice from
Yeah.
there, na? We should read.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, Mataji.
I'll go to post it, Mataji.
Yeah, it was to be a live Vedic sacrifice, అక్కడి నుంచి. I'll post it. You can share the screen, Prabhuji. Are you in a position to share? It's a shloka screen.
Is it visible, Mataji? Screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Huh. Yeah.
మీరు షేర్ చేస్తారా ప్రభుజీ?
మీకు కనబడట్లేదు ఇంకా?
కనిపిస్తుంది.
కనబడుతోంది,
ఓకే
Prabhuji.
రైట్, మీకు ఓకే ప్రభుజీ? అదే.
అంటే we should read from 39 to 46, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just recite it about Mataji's and Prabhuji's. Then you can try. Okay? It was in eerie silence. I don't know why. But then anyhow, I will go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. You
We'll
can
read,
all try,
Prabhuji.
yeah? Yeah. सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्थवीयसे नमस्त्रैलोक्यपालाय सह ओजो बलाय च अर्थलिंगाय नभसे नमोऽनन्तर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुस्मै भूरिवर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्मविपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्त आशिषाम् ईशा मनवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय सांख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रयसमेताय मीधुसेऽहङ्कृतात्मने चेताकूतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानं सर्वेन्द्रियगुणाञ्जनं स्निग्धप्रावृद्घनश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहं चार्वायतच्चतुर्बाहु सुजातारुचिराननं पद्मकोशपलाशाक्षं सुन्दरभ्रुसुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुकपोलास्यं समकर्णविभूषणम्. Thank you so much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Now you can go one by one. Deepa Mataji, can you please do it?
Yes, Prabhuji. 1 second. सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्थवीयसे नमस्त्रैलोक्य पालाय सहोजो बलाय च अर्थलिंगाय नभसे नमोऽन्तर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुष्मै भूरिवर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्मविपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्ताशीशाम् नमस्ताशीशामीशा मनवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय सांख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रयसमेताय मीदुषे अहङ्कृतात्मने चेताकूतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां देहि भागवतार्चितं रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानां सर्वेन्द्रियगुणाञ्जनं स्निग्धप्रावृत्घनश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहं चार्वायत चतुर्बाहु सुजाता रुचिराननं पद्मकोशपलाशाक्षं सुन्दरभ्रुसुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुकपोलास्यं समकर्णविभूषणम्. Hare Krishna. Sorry for the mistakes, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
I
thank you,
don't
Mataji.
know
No,
how
no,
much
no.
we did all this. నాకు అసలు గుర్తే రావట్లేదు.
Yeah.
గ్యాప్ ఎక్కువైపోయింది.
Who else is there now? Madhvi Mataji, can you try?
Yeah, I will try, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Mataji.
सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्तवीयसे नमस्त्रैलोक्यपालाय सहोजे बलाय च अर्धलिंगाय नावसे नमोऽन्तर्बाहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुस्मै भूरिवर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्मविपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्त आशीषम् ईशा मनवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुन्तमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय सांख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रय समेताय विदुषे हंकृतात्मने चेताकुतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षाणां देहि
दिदृक्षूणां दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां
दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां ప్రభుజీ పోతుంది ప్రభుజీ
పర్వాలేదు ట్రై చేయండి అంతే మనం ట్రై చేయడానికి ఉన్నాం
దర్శనం నో దిదృక్షుణాం దేహి భాగవతార్చితం రూపం ప్రియతాం మాం స్వనాం సర్వేంద్రియ గుణనాంజనం స్నిగ్ధ ప్రవృద్ఘనశ్యామం సర్వసౌందర్య సంగ్రహం చార్వాయత చతుర్బాహు సుజాత రుచిరాననం పద్మకోశ ఫలసాక్ష్యం సుందరాభృ సునాశికం Sudvijam Sukapolashyam Samakarna Vibhushanam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank
Sorry,
you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. No, Mataji. Chestu వచ్చేస్తే Mataji అని. Who else is there? Vani Mataji?
ప్రభుజీ ట్రై చేస్తాను ప్రభుజీ, అసలు ఏమి గుర్తులేదు. ఐ ట్రై బట్
ఏం పర్లేదు Mataji, ట్రై చేయండి.
సర్వసత్వాత్మ దేహాయ
సర్వసత్వాత్మ దేహాయ
సర్వసత్వాత్మ దేహాయ విశేషాయ వీష్యసే నమస్త్రైలోక్యపాలాయ సహ ఓజబలాయ చ అర్థలింగాయ నభసే నమోనంతర్బహిరాత్మనే నమః పుణ్యాయ లోకాయ అంష్మై భూరి వర్చసే ప్రవృత్తాయ నివృత్తాయ పితృదేవాయ కర్మణే నమో ధర్మ విపాకాయ మృత్యవే దుఃఖే దయా చ
మృత్యవే దుఃఖదాయ చ
నమస్తే అశ్నినం ఈశా మానవే కారణాత్మనే నమో ధర్మాయ బృహతే కృష్ణాయ కుంఠమేధసే పురుషాయ పురాణాయ సాంఖ్యయోగేశ్వరాయ చ శక్తిత్రయ సమేతాయ మేధుసే హంకరతాత్మనే చేతకృతిరూపాయ నమో వాచో విభూతయే దర్శనం న దృక్షు one second Prabhuji.
దిదృక్షూణాం
I lost my screen also Prabhuji. Dridrisham na dridrik darshanam no dridrikshanam tehi bhagavatarchitam rupam priyatatmam sarvan swanam sorry
రూపం ప్రియతమం స్వానాం
సర్వేంద్రియ గుణాంజనం. మళ్ళీ చేయను ప్రభుజీ, ఇది మరీ అర్థంగా చేశాను.
చేయండి మాతాజీ, చేయండి, ఏం పర్వాలేదు మాతాజీ. ఎవరు నవ్వుకునే వాళ్ళు లేరు ఇక్కడ, అందరి పరిస్థితులు ఏంటో అందరికీ తెలుసు. సో గో హెడ్ మాతాజీ, నో ఇష్యూస్.
దర్శనం న దృక్షిణం దేహి భాగవతార్చితం రూపం ప్రియతాత్మమం స్వానం సర్వేంద్రియ గుణాంజనం స్నిగ్ధ ప్రవర్తిత ఘనశ్యామం సర్వ సౌందర్య సంగ్రహం చార్వాయత చతుర్బాహు సుజాత రుచిరాననం పద్మకోశ ఇదేం ప్రభుజీ?
సాక్షం. పలాష అంటే పెటల్స్ మాతాజీ, అక్షం అంటే ఐస్ అన్నమాట. పద్మకోశ అంటే లోటస్ వరల్డ్.
పద్మకోశ ఫలాసాక్షం సుందర భృహు సునాసికం సుద్విజం సుఖాపోలాస్యం సమకర్ణ విభూషణం.
అంతే అయిపోయింది మాతాజీ, చాలు, డన్. ఒకసారి 44 మళ్ళీ చదవండి మాతాజీ, ఇంటర్ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి.
ఎస్ ప్రభుజీ, అవును.
యాక్చువల్గా
ఎప్పుడు కానీ మర్చిపోయాను ప్రభుజీ. యాక్చువల్లీ when we did it, we were reciting back then. I was doing well ప్రభుజీ, but entirely wiped out.
రష్మి మాతాజీ, కెన్ యు ట్రై మాతాజీ?
Thank you.
రష్మి మాతాజీ ఉన్నారు బాబు, ఆవిడ తర్వాత
Okay, Hare Krishna.
రష్మి మాతాజీ, గో హెడ్ మాతాజీ.
Yes. सर्वसत्वात्मा देहाय विशेषाय स्थाव्यसे
तवीयसे
अच्छा विशेषाय स्थवीयसे नमस्ते त्रैलोक्यपालाय सह ओजो बलाय च अर्थलिंगाय नाभासे नमो अन्तर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अनुष्मायि भूरि वर्चसे प्रवर्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्म विपाकाय मृत्वा ये दुःखदाय च नमस्ता असि सम्मीसा मनावे कर्णनात्मने मनवे कर्णनात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते नमो धर्माय बृहते नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय संख्याय योगेश्वराय च शक्तित्राय संख्या योगेश्वराय च शक्तित्राय समेस्ताय मिधुसे हन्ति कृतात्मने मिधुसे हन्कृतात्मने चेताकृतिरूपकाय नमो वचो विभूतये दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षूणां देहि भागवतार्चितं रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानं सर्वेन्द्रियागुणाञ्जनम् स्निग्धा प्रवर्तघना श्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्य संग्रहं चार्व आयात चतुर्बाहु सुजाता रुचिराननं पलाक्षाक्षं सौन्दर्य सुन्दराभ्रुसुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुकापुलाक्षं समाकर्णा सॉरी प्रभु जी
सुद्विजं
सुकपोलाक्षं समाकर्णा विभूषणम्. Sorry for the mistakes.
We will try tomorrow also. We will do this tomorrow also. Everyone is
Yeah,
feeling difficulty. Yeah. Raj Prabhu, can you please go ahead because you have to go now? You have to leave. Raj Prabhu, are you there or left?
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय विशेषाय स्तविषये नमस्त्रैलोकपालाय सहौजबलाय च अर्थलिंगाय नभासे नमो अंतर्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अमुष्मये ब्रूहि वर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्म विपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्त आशिषम् ईशा मानवे कारणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे पुरुषाय पुराणाय सांख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्राय समेताय मीदुसे कृतात्मने चेताकृतिरूपाय नमो वाचा विभूतये दर्शनं नो दिदृक्षणं देहि भागवतार्चितं रूपं प्रियतात्मनं स्वानं सर्वेन्द्रिया गुणाञ्जनं स्निग्धप्रवृद्घनश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहं चार्वायत चतुर्बाहु सुजाता रुचिराननं पद्मकोशापलक्ष
पलासाक्षम
पद्मकोशापलासाक्षं सुन्दराभ्रु सुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुखपोलस्यं समकर्णा विभूषणं. శిరీష వాంటెడ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభు. ప్రభు ఒక్కసారి సపన్ ప్రభు అయినాక శిరీష మాతని చేయమంటారా? ఆవిడ ఉన్నారు ఇంట్లో, ఆవిడ కూడా వెళ్ళిపోలేక ప్రభు. ఉంటారా మాతాజీ మీరు ఇంట్లోనే? సపన్ ప్రభు కూడా నైట్ అయిపోతుంది యాక్చువల్లీ. ఒకసారి సపన్ ప్రభు అయినాక మీరు చేద్దరు మాతాజీ. సరే సపన్ ప్రభు ప్లీజ్ గో హెడ్ ప్రభు.
హరే కృష్ణ.
హరే కృష్ణ.
सर्वसत्त्वात्मदेहाय शेषाय स्तवीयसे नमस्त्रैलोक्यपालाय सह ओजो बलाय च अर्थलिंगाय नाभसे मोन्तार्बहिरात्मने नमः पुण्याय लोकाय अनुस्मै पूरिवर्चसे प्रवृत्ताय निवृत्ताय पितृदेवाय कर्मणे नमो धर्माय विपाकाय मृत्यवे दुःखदाय च नमस्ता आसीसामीसा मानवे करणात्मने नमो धर्माय बृहते कृष्णाय कुण्ठमेधसे कुशाय पुराणाय सांख्ययोगेश्वराय च शक्तित्रया समेताय मीदुसे हंकृतात्मने चेत आकूतिरूपाय नमो वाचो विभूतये दर्शनं नो दृदक्षूणां देहि भागवतार्चितं रूपं प्रियतमं स्वानं सर्वेन्द्रियागुणाञ्जनं स्निग्धप्राविद्गणश्यामं सर्वसौन्दर्यसङ्ग्रहं चार्वायता चतुर्बाहु सुजाता रुचिराननं पद्मकोशपलासाक्षं सुन्दराभ्रुसुनासिकं सुद्विजं सुखपोलास्यं समाकर्णाविभूषणं. హరే కృష్ణ.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రభు. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. శిరీష మాతాజీ చేస్తారా? శిరీష మాతాజీ. హరే ఏంది కోపడ్డారా లేకపోతే వాయిస్ రావట్లేదు మనకి? హరే కృష్ణ. Hari Bol. Okay, they left it seems Mataji and Prabhuji. So we will end this call over here. It's already 9:15. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindubhya evacha paritanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnavavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada book reading ki jai. Rudra Gitam ki jai. Thank you so much, devotees. I'm ending the call here. Thank you so much for attending. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.